ambassadorial scholar in a graveyard. On one of the graves, this was written, one of the Rotarians took me there and he says, no one rises so high as when he stoops to lift another. So when we, because of our situation or because of our service, when we help the people who are poor and downtrodden, we really rise, we don't stoop. So you are doing a fantastic job, keep at it, make sure a lot more things. The project of collecting 8 lakh books in 7 days is a marvelous thing. I think I salute you. Fantastic, because the concept itself is fabulous. It goes out, because I'm connected with the media, and when we tell them that such a thing is happening, even they are astounded. So I think we need to really move it, give this kind of new impetus, and make sure that Rotary is more and more vibrant and reaches out more and more. Yeah. So with that, I end my task, but I would only just like to tell you one more thing, like what Ron Burton, our president, said. Many years ago, George Patton once said, the legendary George Patton once said, never tell people how to do things, tell them what to do, and they will surprise you with their ingenuity. This is what you have done. Thank you very much. Hats off to you.
Thank you, Rotarian Satya, for those nice words to our young road tractors. I would request RI President Ron Burton to felicitate Satyan Bhatt with a moment. Let's watch a small AV presentation.
सर आपके लिए उस पार कार का इंतजाम किया है सर। सर आइए सर। चल चल।
कुछ करो ना।
मैं वहाँ जाके क्या उखाड़ूंगा?
जाने बूंदे आई, जाने कैसा दर्द लाई, सामने क्या है ये तेरे, क्यों रुका है तू बता दे हो। कौन तुझको है, तुझ में तेरा है सहारा, तू ही तुझको पार लेगा, तू ही है तेरा किनारा।
Frankly speaking, that's the keynote address, and actually I can go and sit back because I see that kid in each one of you sitting here as road tractors. RI President Ron and all other dignitaries on and off the dais. For me, it's a special homecoming, basically, because more than a road tractor, I was an in-tracker way back in 1992. And when I first heard Dr. CSR, who's no more, sitting among a large audience of about 1,500 people, I was always dreaming that one day I should be here talking to in-tractors and road tractors, and this is an extreme honor sharing the stage with the RI President, and I consider it's my deep honor standing here and talking to all of you here. So I'm super delighted. It's like an Oscar stage right now for me. Yeah. Now, how often do we complain day in and day out about corruption, pollution, sanitation, and whatnot? Every day there is a reason for us to crib. And you log on to Facebook, every day there is about some crib or the other. Twitter, I thought Facebook was worse, and when logged on to Twitter, Twitter is even worse. People only crib, they have reasons to crib. So today's trend is crib, and then you move on to the next crib tomorrow. But the other day I was just looking at talking to youngsters, and I said, you know what, you need to start your day with something positive. You need to read something positive. And as I was talking to this youngster, one of the college kids stood up and he said, sir, where do you get this positive news? Is there any newspaper which gives you the so-called positive news? And that actually struck me. And from that day onwards, I keep looking at the newspaper. Is there something positive in any of these newspapers and these news dailies? And if at all there is some positive news, it's in the rightmost bottom corner of a paper where it is not noticeable. It will be in one corner of a newspaper, whereas scams and pollutions and rapes and murders are given the prime attention. So I think we are in a stage where there is so much of negativity around, and in this so much of negativity, to be normal and to stay positive itself is a huge challenge. I always believe that every youngster has that rebellious energy in him, and that rebellious energy over a period of time subsided because we have this habit of calling collective misery, right? I have this problem, so you have this problem, now let's brood over the problem and do nothing about it. And when there is a second category of people who decide that this rebellious energy has to be put into use, and that set of people, I call them as road tractors, right? So when I say road tractors, you need to clap. As I was sitting there and watching this lovely program, there is so much which was said about Rotary and Road Track, but here are two important facts that RI District 3230 has to be very, very proud about. The world's largest club, Road Track Club, is in this district, RI District 3230. The largest number of road tractors are also this district called RI District 3230, and that's something phenomenal, isn't it? Across the globe, if we are the largest district, and that's something which we need to be extremely proud about. Now, what am I going to talk to you about is on this topic called We Are the Change, and let me tell you, change is the most difficult word to put into practice, because we all want to change the world. Every Tom, Dick and Harry around us says we want to change the world. Am I willing to change myself? No, that's not possible. The world has to change, but I'm not going to change. Now, the change by itself to practice is very, very difficult. And even worse, even if the change is for the positive, we don't want to change. Charles Dickens, in one of his write-up, in a short story, he talks about a prisoner who has been jailed and who has always been in the dark for about 30 years of his life. And this guy comes and gets a release, and he's asked to go out, and that fine morning when he comes out, he sees bright sunshine. He just couldn't take it. And he says, this is not what I want. And he goes back to the jail and says, can you please put me inside? I was more comfortable inside. So we believe that even if the change is for the positive, we don't want to change. We are rather comfortable in this age-old practice. And there was this doctor who was working for this group called Alcoholic Anonymous, and he was very, very upset that youngsters were taking up alcoholism. So he said, talking to youngsters is not really going to help, so let me demonstrate it in front of these people. So he took 2 bottles of water, or rather 2 glasses, and he poured 1 glass of pure distilled water. Okay, he poured that. And then he took up what you call as alcohol and our own brand in India, which is called Old Monk, and he poured that into the next bottle, right, of brandy or whiskey, whatever you want to call it. So now in front of the audience there were 2 glasses, one filled with water and the other filled with alcohol. He took 2 earthworms and put it inside. The first one swam really well because it is in distilled water. The earthworm had a nice time, was swimming. And then he said, now watch what happens to this earthworm. And then he put it into the glass of alcohol. And in front of the audience, the earthworm disintegrated into pieces and had a very gory death. So he looked at the audience and he said, what is the message that you get? So one smart Jack stood up and he said, sir, if you drink alcohol, there will be no worms in your stomach, right? So even there, even if the change is for the better, I still think we as citizens, we find it extremely difficult to change, and that's where in social media you find people lecturing a lot, but we don't want to change. Now my topic today is all about what has this movement done to me and have I changed as a person? The answer is an emphatic yes. I joined Interact in the year 1990. One day when I was just entering my school principal's office, and that day a Rotarian had to visit my school and they wanted to start an Interact club. So he looked at the principal and he asked, see, look, Interact is the junior most version of Rotary. It helps shaping personalities and all this stuff. He had given a lot of marketing talk to my principal. And then my principal asked, what should we do? He said, you need to identify 10 people for the board members. One guy, president, vice president, secretary. At that point in time, I entered my principal's office with a small circular that I need to take it to my class. And then the Rotarian looked at me and he said, this guy is a good material for a president. I don't know how he managed to identify that. He said, you can make this guy the president. Okay, so there I became the Interact school president when I was in class 9. Had no clue about what Interact was all about. All that I knew is, if I'm an Interact, somebody is going to give me on-duty attendance, I don't need to attend class. As simple as that. So the regular boring lectures I was able to escape. But then, I was very impressed with one project which was thrown open to me. There was a leprosy home very close to my school. And this leprosy home was devoid of funds, and there was hardly any funds which was coming in, and the patients there were, they were immobile, they were not able to move out. To feeding them itself was becoming a huge challenge. And then somebody told me, if you can donate rice, right, plain rice, they will at least be able to have 3 square meals. And as 9th standard school kids, we didn't have money. So one of my friends said, why don't we go and collect rice from the neighborhood, right? Go and collect rice from the neighborhood. And there is a Shankaracharya who runs a mutt. I was studying in his school. And he had launched something called as Pidi Arisi Thittam, okay, which means what Pidi Arisi? This is how much rice you need to donate, right? Now, for us it was a little humiliating to go one house after the other, asking to get 1 bowl of rice or 1 pidi of rice. It was as good as begging, right? But then we said, we don't have money. And one thing we were very clear, we will not go back to Rotary, our parent club, and say, please give us money to go and buy a bag of rice. We said, we will collect it. So 9th standard kids, 22 of us, went into the neighborhood to start collecting rice. And you know what? In exactly about 15 days, we collected 520 kgs of rice, what we call as Pacharishi and Kurulars. 520 kgs of rice. And when we went and gave back to that leprosy home warden, he was super thrilled and he was super moved. Lesson number 1 which we got that day is, it was very easy to go and ask for help for somebody else than going and asking for help for yourself, right? We went with supreme confidence and say, look, we want to give you rice. Don't give us money, give us rice. Okay, if you can give us 2 kilos, it's okay. Just don't need to give us 1 pidi. Just give us 2 kilos, 3 kilos, we'll be okay. That's the first ever project that I did as an Interact member. It made me realize that there are people starving, and that's the beauty of being in this particular movement. What does that change means to me? All along, I thought if somebody was suffering in the road as a beggar, if somebody was suffering in the road, we always been told that's karma. Pona Janma to Pavam. He did something wrong in his previous generation and hence he is suffering now. Interact wiped that off completely from me. The second incident, which I have told in many stages, which shared in many stages, and actually gives me goosebumps when I talk about this particular project. I passed out of Interact and I joined Road-Track, and my ultimate aim to join Road-Track was, again, being very honest, brutally honest, was just to be with my friends. And some Rotary Club came to me and said, look, we will give you a AC hall, we will serve you snacks, and you need to do some projects if it's possible. And it sounds like a plan. So I joined Road-Track. And there was a time when one Rotarian from the Rotary Club of Tambaram threw us a challenge, saying that there is this boy who's applying for a scholarship. He got an admission into Madras Institute of Technology and he wants to buy a scientific calculator for which he does not have money. And this challenge was thrown to us and it cost us 2,700 rupees for a piece of scientific calculator. Ironically, I was not doing very well in studies at that particular point in time, so I didn't have the guts to go and tell my mom, look what, I need to sponsor a kid, why don't you give me 300 rupees? My mom would give me a whack. She said, first you study properly. So I went and told my mom, Mom, I need to buy some books, why don't you give me 300 rupees? So friends, we collected money. The reason why we wanted to help this boy was he studied in a college in Chennai where hardly classes happen. This college was known for strikes and whatever. And 5 papers each year, for 15 papers, this guy scored 100 out of 100, which is about, in 15 papers, this guy managed 100 out of 100. And the classes hardly happened in this college. And this guy got an admission into Madras Institute of Technology for a BTech course. So we bought a scientific calculator. We gave it to this Rotary president from our parent club with great pride. That's the first Road-Track project that we did. Go and give it to him. So the Rotarian went and gave the scientific calculator to the boy, and the boy said, thank you very much. And that's all we heard about that boy. This happened in the year 1994. Years passed by. 1998, I get a letter which, even after 50 years, if you ask me, I will recite this letter by heart. It said, Dear Road-Tractor, past President Sujit Kumar, this is Sendil Velan, whom you helped 4 years back with a scientific calculator. You know what? The scientific calculator was beyond my reach at that particular point in time. By God's grace, I'm placed in Bharat Heavy Electronics, BHEL, and my salary is 27,000 rupees. Please find a check attached for 13,500 rupees drawn in favor of Road-Track Club of Tambaram. You can decide to use it for any educational purpose that you wish. Then comes the next part. He says, you must be wondering what I've done to the other 50%. The other 50% of the salary I've already donated to an orphanage in memory of my mother who is no more. Right? Now, this happened in 1998 and today we are in 2013. Till today I have not met Sendil, but Sendil has helped phenomenal number of projects both in Road-Track as well as for my company CSR activities. Currently, he is a program director with an international organization called UNESCO, works in the US, and he supports many projects. He's not a road tractor, he's not joined Rotary, but this simple gesture of 2,700 rupees, and in dollar terms you can calculate how much does it. It's peanut, right? But look at the timely help that the Road-Track has did for this guy. He remembers even today, and he says, he offers us matching grant, just like RI does. He says, if there is an interesting project, write to me, I will fund it. Now, that's the second time I learned a lesson that no project is a small project, right? It does really make a difference to somebody else. The third and most important one, there was a time when we became seasoned road tractors and we walked up to Rotary and we said, we want to do a polio corrective surgery. Polio campaign had started by then. And we wanted to do polio corrective surgery. And our Rotarians in 3230 have been the most supportive Rotarians we have ever come across. Now, if we are all in this stage today, some of our road tractors, credit to the Rotarians, because they were always led us as role models. So, nothing to take them up, to take the credit away from them. A couple of Rotarians said, look, this is a project which even Rotary struggles. It's not something easy. The amount of volunteerism that needs to be involved is huge. They suggested it's not a good idea to move on with the polio corrective surgery project. But Road Tractors said we will attempt it. And with the help of 2 doctors, 47 patients were operated. They were put up in a Kalyana Mandapam in Saukharpet. There were no nurses. Literally, even to take them to the toilets, Road Tractors did it on that particular day for 15 days together. All 47 walked back home. Right? Now that's the kind of project which this district did, polio corrective surgery, and that's a project even today, if I think back, kids, college kids carrying patients into the toilets, bringing them back, every day working with them, no staff nurse, and we are not trained nurse as well. It was under doctor supervision that we did polio corrective surgery. It was a heart-rending moment. And even this pulse polio vaccination campaign, which Rotaractors even today support in every walk of life with Rotary, there was a time when we'll just go and put that 2 droplets into the kid's mouth. And that's when Dr. CSR once called me and said, Sujit, I think you need to tell people the purpose behind it. The purpose behind you dropping the 2 droplets of the polio vaccine is you are actually blessing the kid. It's not just about volunteering. You're blessing the kid that, look, from today, this disease called polio is no more with you, and I'm blessing you that you will be able to walk freely from tomorrow. And look at the kind of impact that you are creating, my dear friends. On a Saturday evening, you have umpteen number of options to do. There are a good number of movies which has been released, right? There is this upcoming semi-final match, Champions League, which is happening, and we decide that we will spend the morning at OMCA for a Guinness record attempt and spend the rest of the day, today and tomorrow, with a purpose. And that is what Rotaract is all about. It changes lives, my dear friends. It really changes my life. Somebody said, what you get in 4 years of education